Morning, it's Martin's Engine Services. Well, it's a Monday morning and I'm just waiting for a customer to bring a car in for an MOT and service. So I thought, just open the workshop, come down, get a couple of bits, and I thought, just to make a quick video on the tractor and what I've been up to over the last, mostly week really. Been running it around the garden, giving it a little bit of testing here and there, see how things are going. The problem I've noticed, the major problems, is there's something jumping at the rear when I'm sort of under low speed, under load. I don't know if it's the transmission slipping or not. It's possible, but I'm trying to work out why it doesn't sort of drive well at those speeds. But I've noticed that the transmission was actually moving. So I made up my own mountings, and what I've actually realised is they weren't made of strong enough metal, and the transmission was actually moving from side to side. Which I think what's actually happening is, of course, the drive belt comes from the front round a system of pulleys for a clutch, and I think it's basically pulling on the belt, so the belt's jumping around. So I put my borescope down there, I run it under the seat to look at the pulley while I was driving it, and you can see the transmission sort of moving around like that. So I thought, aha, that's possibly what the problem is. So I'm making up some much more heavy duty brackets. You can buy the originals, even second hand, at like £30 a pair. But I've seen somebody had made some on another machine, and they've literally done this. So I've cut this bit of box section here, and I've centralised it to the chassis here. Fortunately, on the axle, there's actually a casting here, which is actually in the middle. So I've just got to scoosh that forward to that mark the holes, and then away we go. So it's quite possible that is actually the problem, that the transmission's moving around and the belt's jumping. So whatever happens, I've got to do that anyhow. If the hydrostatic gearbox does prove to be the problem, I shall simply find another parts machine with the manual gearbox on, or in fact those axles appear to be quite generic to many different machines, and I'll just find a manual one and adapt it. The rest of it's working absolutely perfectly. The engine's running sweet. I've sorted all the steering out now and seized all that and centralised all that, and everything's working well. So it's definitely worth carrying on with. So the sweeper unit's completely back together again, and I gave that a little tow around the garden to check the linkage, and I haven't got a drive belt yet. Did have quite a laugh yesterday with a friend of mine. We coupled it all up, and I set off across the garden and went about 6 foot, and it fell off. There's this stupid design of catch here. These locking catches are very hard to get in place because they're kind of in between all the mechanism, and they're a real flaff. I could see me modifying it and making some sort of other linkage which has, let's say this side, this little tag is actually the wrong way around. Effectively it wants to be this side, but you can't have it this side because it simply hits everything else. So when you've got the linkage here, it's pretty useless. I think I might come up with something which has a pin going through. I can really see that being an absolute pain. But it tows okay, the roller works alright. All the linkage now is working, so that's fine. And I've been putting the bagger back together again, and obviously this is it without the netting on. I've got to make a couple of little tweaks to the frame here. This just needs a little tweak over that way. I've just been sorting out all the brackets and the bolts and bits and pieces. And those links I mentioned that you detach from here, and when this is sitting onto the sweeper unit, onto this bracket here, these attach to the sweeper. So when you tip this base piece is actually hinged down. There's some brackets here that form hinges. So as you tip this, the base actually goes down like that, as the top piece goes, this top piece goes up, the base goes down, and effectively opens like that to drop all the leaves out. So in the past they weren't using this because they'd put rivets and screws through there. So I managed to get it all back to how it should be. I did have a bit of a head scratcher because I took it apart and thought, oh, I know where all the brackets go. Not quite, but we've got it now. Just thought I'd assemble it all to make sure I've got all the various bits of hardware. Find a couple of new bolts here and there. And then get the bag back on. I know the bag itself is a bit tatty around the bottom. My actual plan is to actually turn the bag upside down and fit it up the other way so that the torn section's at the top. Whether that's going to work, I don't know, because it isn't quite, it's a bit of a different shape, but I can't tell on the bag how you work out which way up it is, so that's another conundrum to deal with. But we've got all the parts, and I think they're roughly in the right order. It's all worked out nicely, so the base piece has all gone together well. A slight variation in the shape of the corner I made, because that's the shape of the piece of metal I had to make it round, but we're not going to worry about that too much. I was quite proud of the fact I managed to make a curved section that lipped under like that. And I don't normally have that much success with things like that, but it all went well. I put a few extra bolts in here because this is the laminated joint. I have spot welded it between each of the bolts. So I thought, right, we'll put an extra couple of bolts in. Can't fall off. Riveted the strip underneath. There's some sort of rubber sealing strip. I don't know what that does, but I've no idea, but it's on there now. So I'm rather pleased with our proceedings, actually. It's all looking rather good. So I just got to solve the transmission issue. I put all the air filter back on. We got the fuel pump back in. That was quite an interesting one because this engine cover had this bracket on, and it's not quite the right cover for the engine, and this pipe was over here, and a little bit of a jiggle things around a bit, and there is a classic example of a piece of fuel line. This is only temporary till I get the proper tank. Piece of fuel line I found laying in my fuel hose box, which is not, I mean, this has got E5 super unleaded in. This bit of hose is going jellified. I think the fuel's still on, actually. Turn that off. This is a proper piece of fuel line, and even that's starting to get affected by it. You got to be so careful with this ethanol fuel. This piece is fine, and the pump is compliant. So yeah, it's all worked out. I had to sort the steering alignment out, which is quite hilarious because some reason the tracking itself was a long way out, and this link here was also out of adjustment. And altogether it's quite entertaining because it would turn right like a go-kart, which it still does, but it's not that keen to turn left. I've got it better, but it's all a bit weird. And due to that design, that pivoting front axle, it does tend to say bump steer something alarmingly. You hit a small bump, the back of the tractor deflects, and it won't move, it's on axle stands. But as the axle pivots, the amount of steering lock it cranks on is rather amusing. His problem is basically they feed the steering connection to one wheel first. On my wheel horse, the steering linkage goes down the middle of the tractor to a quadrant in the middle. So when the axle actually pivots like that, the tracking remains constant, so it goes in a straight line. This thing will veer off quite alarmingly. It's most amusing. But no, I'm pleased with proceedings. It's all looking very good. So I'm getting very good at taking the back end apart. But I can't condemn the transmission till I sort out those mountings. I didn't realise just how much movement there was in there. That may explain a couple of other issues. So I thought, well, whatever happens, those brackets will bolt onto whatever transmission you fit, because there are extra bolt holes in these units where they fit other models. In fact, I missed out yesterday on a Husqvarna unit, different design of machine, but in the pictures, well, I looked up the part numbers and it has exactly the same transmission as this, but say the 5-speed manual, and it would appear that the gear lever works exactly the same. Here it runs across through under the seat. Gear linkage runs through here and down. Apart from that bit being different, the rest of this is the same for the manual or the hydrostatic unit. There's actually 4 different gearboxes fitted to these, just to make it even more entertaining, but I think it wouldn't be a problem swapping them. There is a version that has dry flanges put on the end for bolt-on heavier duty wheels, but again the axle shafts appear the same. So that might be my option. finding another transmission or a whole parts machine. So we shall see. But to be fair to the transmission on here now, the fact it's wobbling around, which is obviously altering the belt tension, it's not fair on it. So I thought I'd sort that out first. One way or another, it's got to be sorted out. So that's what I'm up to. So I'm waiting for my job to come in this morning. I've had a little bit of a tidy up. Oh yeah, there's some tea on the go. How unusual. And it's a bit of said tea. And yeah, we'll have a little bit of a tidy up, and then we're ready to get this job done. I don't think it's going to be anything that exciting, but if anything interesting happens on it, I'll bring you along, let you know what's happening. Otherwise, we'll be down to our normal, I think, what's happening Wednesday. So, hope you enjoyed this short update on what's going on with the tractor. I mean, every time you ever see a video of it, it seems to be up in here on axle stands with the back end hanging out. But trust me, folks, we are getting there. Anyhow, thanks very much indeed for watching. Please like and subscribe. Gained a couple more subscribers over the weekend. And I've noticed from the viewing numbers that new subscribers have been going back and reviewing quite a lot of my older videos, which is it's really nice to see that. So if you have one of those people who just joined, thank you very much. And if you're a regular, again, thank you. Bye for now.